Hey folks, it's a mediocre cover band guitar guy. How's everybody holding out? Um, so today I wanted to pay a little bit of a tribute to my dad before I got into talking about the tour I just came back with from a gentleman named Aaron Halliday who was doing a tour across the island. It was too much of a good thing tour, the Alan Jackson Experience. Aaron looks identical to a young Alan Jackson and is awesome. He's got everything about the show down to a science, and I'll get into all that in a minute. But the reason I want to do a tribute to my dad is I lost my dad yesterday morning at 8 a.m. We found out last Friday that he was suffering from some very serious and aggressive health issues as he just seemingly over the last week or so became more and more ill. He finally went to the hospital Friday. We found out that on Saturday morning he was down literally to a matter of hours to a couple days, and fortunately succumbed to the illness yesterday morning at 8 a.m. And I'm very saddened by it. I'm still gutted. I'm still in disbelief. Back in the day, they would say you were shell shocked. That's quite where I am right now. And I know everybody says when they lose a loved one, especially a parent, that they were special, but I truly feel like my dad was. Somebody who was special. And, not just watching him and how people, or how he reacted to people, but how people reacted with him, and to him with like such respect. My dad was a captain on fishing vessels for most of his life and garnered a lot of respect from his crew and colleagues in the industry, and kept in touch with several of them that were still alive up until just before his passing. And people loved him. Every Christmas, his crew called Christmas Eve to wish him Merry Christmas, because they weren't going to see him for a little bit, because they'd be home for a week or so during Christmas. And my dad was my first musical idol. I mean, for most boys, your dad is your first hero in some way, shape, or form, if you're lucky. And my dad was always a hero of mine growing up. He was the boss, at his work. And I always thought that was pretty cool. Probably gave me a sense of entitlement. I don't know how it would, but probably maybe somewhat. Also, musically, my dad was the person who brought music into my life. My dad was a big lifelong lover of music in every way, shape, and form. Not every form. He didn't like rock and roll a whole lot, and he hated heavy metal. Rock and roll for him was back in the Elvis Presley days, Carl Perkins, all those guys, and he just loved all that stuff and rockabilly-ish music. Stray Cats he liked a little bit. I remember my sister brought home Built for Speed, and he loved that one. But in regards to guitar, watching him around the house, I remember when I started to actually, like my third or fourth time starting and finishing on this thing and trying to learn and struggling with it, and then seeing him do things like, and you're like, oh, okay, I got a long way to go. That was a big deal back then to me, and being able to watch him play all these country tunes on his guitar and some of the traditional Newfoundland stuff that he played was incredible, and I thought I'd never get there. And when it comes to that stuff, I'm not there, trust me. I morphed over to the whole rock and roll thing pretty quickly. But he was my first musical idol, first guitar hero, and he showed me all of the and don't forget but this was his guitar. My mom gave him this guitar as an anniversary gift, and when he upgraded himself, he passed this one along to me, and then made me give it back to him a few years ago, and then I got it back now about a year or two before his passing, when his hands got too bad to play, and I took it home because I'd never ever let anybody take this guitar from me. I'll probably pass it down when I pass, but it's a Mansfield. It's obviously set up to look like a Gibson of some sort. Like my dad loved the Gibson Hummingbirds; those were his favorite acoustic. He liked Martins and things, but good old Gibson, that was his thing. That's what he liked. But I just wanted to share that with you guys today, about my dad and He was like very supportive of me in music, and always. I remember maybe 2 years ago going to visit him, and they took out an old high-buy dresser that was in my room, and they hauled the drawers out of it. And the drawers wouldn't come out of it; they were kind of locked in there. And to get it out of the house, he had to kind of beat it up, and he hauled the bottom drawer out of it. And there was picks in the bottom drawer, still in packages. There were like Jazz Threes, the Black Stiffos, in a full pack in there, and it was in the 90s when I moved out. So they'd been in there for like 20 some odd years and whatever, and like just loose picks. There were a bunch of PV guitar picks from when I bought a PV Classic amplifier, and they gave me a bag of picks to go with it. It was just insane. But he chuckled at it and gave it back to me. But yeah, so that's where I'm at today with my dad, and I wanted to pass that along. R.I.P. Skipper. Anyway, so now I'm going to go on and talk about the tour that I was on. This might be a long video, and you're going to have to forgive me for this one. I announced that I was going on tour, and I didn't get to do a whole lot afterwards. Kind of left you guys high and dry. I put up a couple things here and there out on the road, but the thing is that some of the centers we played weren't really fond on us, on me using their likeness for content and things like that. They're government owned. They had some employees that are unionized, and some people just don't want their likeness used, for whatever reason. So I had to respect that, and I did respect that. I was told when we did Grand Falls that if I wanted to take a video, to go up into the back of the building and probably take some footage from there, which I did. But I settled into it and realized that it's not about collecting content for my channel. It's about performing the shows and doing the best that I could with what time and I guess limited ability that I had. Because Brent Mason is just a crazy guitar player. We all know that. And that's the thing. I went out with a gentleman named Aaron Halliday. He does the tribute show. This leg of the tour was called Too Much of a Good Thing. They usually every year change the name to something else, and this leg was Too Much of a Good Thing. And for me, it wasn't enough of a good thing because I just had such a great time. I didn't want it to stop. So let's chronicle it. On the 24th of May, we did our first show. We left on the 23rd and drove right to Stephenville. It was an 8-hour drive. We got to the hotel and checked in. We still hadn't met Aaron, and we had a drummer. I should go back. We had another drummer drop out within less than 36 hours of the gig. We were lucky enough to find another gentleman named Dion Fillier. And try saying that quick. So Dion came on board. We met him 10 minutes before the sound check. But on the 24th of May, we met Aaron in the morning. Right away, Aaron was sweet and very quiet, very chill individual. Like I said, very sweet, very, very nice. We went in, we were going to go into one of the hotel rooms and rehearse. Aaron's traveling via a huge RV, almost looks like a tour bus, but what a way to go. This is how great the staff at the Days Inn in Stephenville were. They cleared out, the restaurant was open for breakfast, it doesn't open for lunch, and then it opens up again around supper time. They cleared out an area for us in the restaurant. Like, I can't tell you how great these people were in this hotel. And we rehearsed the set in there, minus a drummer, because we still haven't met Dion yet, remember. So this is in the morning at around 11 a.m. We ended up doing the set, or the 2 sets of all the songs. It was roughly almost 30 songs. It ended up being 30 songs because we added a few on the way by accident. And that afternoon around 2:30, we all got to the Arts Center in Stephenville. Dion rolled in his vehicle. He and his girlfriend lugged our gear in. We set up. We did a sound check. We did one song in sound check. That was the first time the whole group of people rehearsed. Okay? So then we all went and got something, went our own ways. We got something to eat. Went back to the hotel rooms. We got ready for the show, went back to the Arts Center, and it was a different bird for me because right from the get-go, you're told what to do because you're in a theater. And as we got down to like the 10-minute mark, they came and collected us. told us to get on our positions in the stage. So I was stage left with my friend Todd, and the drummer was in the center, so he came over to stage left with us. The other guys were stage right. We all came out to our positions in a neat and orderly fashion, and then did an intro. Aaron came on stage and we played. Despite a few minor flubs, we got through it pretty great. I got to say, for the amount of practice we had. We had a great gig. We broke it all down. After the gig, we went back. We had some really positive feedback from people. I got to say, they loved the show. Aaron did a great show. It was nothing about us. This is all about Aaron, okay? And this is my experience, but like the show went great because of him. There's no doubt his professionalism, and you can tell he's done this so many times. He's got it down to a science for timing, for everything, for every word he says. Like, it's amazing how much work has gone into this on his part, right? Anyhow, we leave, we go back to the hotel, we get whatever, bite to eat there, and go to bed. We get up the next day, and we hightail it to Steady Brook, which is probably 45 minutes away, an hour away. We get to the venue. It's more of a lounge than an art center, but it is huge and it looks cool. It really was a cool looking room. It was a pretty good sounding room too, I gotta say. The stage, the guy who did sound and the monitor mix did an awesome job. That show was really special because we had a dance floor and it was full the whole friggin' night. It was amazing. Like, it really gave the band such energy. And you gotta remember, that's my neck of the woods, being in that type of situation. I'm not a theater type of player, right? So anyway, we did a whole Steady Brook thing. Everything went really well. Mind you, very limited rehearsal time. Anything we had that was sticky, we did in sound checks, right? We broke off from there and we went to Grand Falls, Windsor. Man, what a theater. The art center there was beautiful. It's gorgeous. It really, really is. The stage sounded so great. And the sound people that worked there were funny, for one. They were amazing people to work with. If you're ever doing a gig in that place and you come out with a bad gig because of the staff there, it was you. Okay? Because they were some of the sweetest, funniest people I'd ever met in my life. Everybody, right down to the manager, was exceptional and took really good care of us. So then we had a few days off, and we had to get back to reality. In my part, for a couple of days, I had to go back to work, and I didn't have any fun at work at all. Work sucked. I hated it. It was gross. It was really gross. I hated it. Anyway, we moved on. We went to Clarenville on that Thursday night from that week. I think it was May 31st we're at now. It had to be May 30th in Clarenville. Clarenville was a bust. There was no promotion for the show. The promoters really dropped the ball on this one. Usually Aaron and his wife Sharon do all of that, and they put a lot of work into it. And it goes to show, because if you look at all the other shows going across Canada, typically they're sold out or close to it. We had about 12 people at this show, folks. And it reminded me something out of the Blues Brothers or one of those type of things, and it was really fucking hard to get into the show. And but we did it. We got up, and for me, it's all about playing for the people that showed up and not the people who didn't. But the whole experience in Clarenville just was right down to the staff at the hotel, who were rude. They just weren't nice people. It was pretty shitty. So that's that. We went the next night to Marystown. Completely different. The venue, the people, the crowd. The sound guy, John Walsh, was amazing. He got us the greatest sound. Loved it. Great gig. Hotel was great. The people in the hotel were sweet as pie. People at the restaurant and hotel were sweet. We went to the Reed Center in Mount Pearl. The staff were good. The room was bad because it was a huge gym type of a thing. So we were fighting that all night. But the gig was good. The crowd were great. Then the next night we went to Carbonear and we played the Sheila Noguera Theater in Carbonear. One of the best experiences I've ever had playing as a musician in my entire life came as a result of that theater. I gotta tell you, it was amazing. Sound on the stage itself, the building itself, the green room itself, dressing room, showers. Like, this building was put together properly. We had our own washrooms backstage. The staff, the manager was sweet. We had a great house. We had a lot of people because the venue itself did a lot of um, promotion for this show. They took the ball and ran, and I think the show owes them a debt of gratitude for that, and grateful for it. Unfortunately, I did not make it back for the Gander show. The guys had a great show in the theater in the hotel. They had a little bit of a crowd there, not as many as that could have been there. Once again, promotion by the promoter, and I'm not going to mention the promoter because the promoter guy himself was a sweetheart. I met him in Marystown. Uh, but there could have been more done. But the guys had a great show. Doug Randall took over on guitar and pedal steel. Doug is a motherfucking monster of a musician. And that was right up his alley. He's a country player. I am not. But that was an amazing time for those guys to get to do that. So that was the tour. It was one of the best things that I've ever encountered in my life. I can't thank these following people enough. Dion Fillier, Corey Poole, who can sing like a motherfucker, who played rhythm acoustic guitar and harmony vocals. Doug Randall, who's a great friend, a great guy who I love with all my heart, played pedal steel and some guitar, monster musician. Todd Randall, country superstar bass player. I love Todd's one of my best buddies. Thank you so much for everything. Last but not least, I want to thank Aaron and his wife Sharon Halliday. Yes, I know that rhymes. It's pretty cool. For inviting me into this and for coming to Newfoundland and put off a good show. Anybody who saw this show loved it. Okay? They loved it. It was great. And if you're anywhere where you see the Alan Jackson Experience featuring Aaron Halliday come to your town, you don't go, you're missing out, I'm telling you. It had nothing to do with me because far better guitar players have played on this than myself. But he just puts off such a good show, and if you're a country music fan and that of an Alan Jackson fan, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not going to this show. Go see it.